here. Well, first we got to say what's up to Mr. Dudley in the back, handling the technical difficulties. I don't know how many of them he's creating, but he's handling them. So, because that's what you do in Master Control.
We're working on it.
Yep. He's making it work. He's making it work. Thank you guys for watching. I don't have any idea what camera I'm on or anything.
Still on A.
Still on A. All right. Hey, there you are.
Hey.
Anyway, Chris is my guest today. Chris has joined me before. If you guys know Chris, he's a pretty funny guy sometimes.
I try to be sometimes.
How's it going, man?
Everything is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Waiting for these taxes to get back.
Said the taxes.
Yes, sir.
First thing he brought up was some taxes.
Yes.
That's real. Everybody's trying to get some taxes back.
I mean, we're going to be talking about the government a little later.
That's true. We are going to be talking about some interesting
I probably should have saved that then.
No, I mean, you can hit him with a little bit of it now, that little salt.
A little foreshadowing of what we're going to be talking about.
A little bit of that seasoning on it. Throw some of that seasoning on it.
A little sprinkle, a little razzle dazzle.
So, how's everything else? Like, how's everything go? What do you think about the snow that we just got? Like, everybody's, always making fun of, like, the meteorologists and shit like that because.
I mean, I'm everybody. Like they say on Facebook, they say
right.
people do this and I'm people. Yeah, I'm everybody because I talk a lot of noise about the meteorologists. I'm actually going to coax my daughter and tell her, if you want to get into anything, you really don't have to know what you're talking about. Go into meteorology and just work in Oklahoma because, this is just a toss-up when they're doing their thing. But as far as the snow, how I feel about that, I feel like it was about a month and a half late.
Man, a month and a half late.
We had a 70-degree Christmas, and now right before springtime, it's starting to snow.
And then look at today, like it was actually pretty warm. You know what I mean?
It was warm when it snowed. It was. I mean, when it was coming down, it was
warm
cool.
when it snowed.
When it was coming down, it was cool. But immediately after that, it warmed up. Like it was a point in time I couldn't even see my breath, and it was snow on the ground. So I thought that was pretty weird. But I enjoy the cold weather. I burn hot.
It's pretty cold in here, in our studio.
Can you see
It
that?
is pretty chilly. I'm just jumping from camera to camera because I don't really
Is it still green?
I'm working on that.
He said, "Oh, you looking at?" Hey, man, that's technical difficulties, man. Why are you bringing that up? People don't even know about
That's
that
an
part
inside
of the show.
joke. They don't know about it. It's a joke between me, you, and Dudley. Now, since you want to bring the people into it, no,
Thank you guys for watching. No, I'm just playing.
And cut.
No, I'm just playing. Okay, so the things we're going to talk about are really, I mean, they're pretty recent things. Kind of want to touch on the Kobe thing, you know what I mean? I know the Kobe thing was sensitive to you and all that, you know what I'm saying? And a bunch of other people that he's played a role in their life. I don't want to make that sound like it's super sensitive or some shit like that. That's not what I meant, but you know what I mean? It affected people. I want to talk about that a little bit. For me, it was different, we've talked about it before, but we'll go into that in a minute. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about
coronavirus.
We're going to talk about the coronavirus without a doubt. Anybody who is on my Facebook, you know we're talking about the damn coronavirus. I mean, come on, man. I just want people to stay alive. Come on. We'll get to that in a minute. We're going to talk about the State of the Union address and some of the things mentioned in that. Now, I have to be honest. I watched it. I listened to it, but my kids kept talking to me a lot while I was trying to watch it, so it kind of made me where I couldn't pay as much attention to it as I wanted to. But what I did think was interesting was an article that I read afterwards that the Associated Press wrote to fact check some of his things. And I didn't get to finish that entire article either, unfortunately, but I will find it and drop the link in the video after this. But we'll get into that in a minute too. So anyway, we got some interesting things to talk about. But the first one though I want to touch on was, like I said, the Kobe thing. How would you say the Kobe thing affected you? Because for me, like, I feel like it was, I understand the sensitivity in it because, I mean, I've lost someone as well. And, anybody who's lost someone close to them understands what death feels like and all that. And I understand that it's a different type of association to it. You know what I mean? But how do you feel?
How it affected me, and it's different then because I'm one to verbally address how I don't like, well, not necessarily don't like, well, yeah, flat out, I don't like how people, I don't want to say blow out of proportion, but they take the mourning to an extreme when it comes to a celebrity, and they don't do that with, people in the regular community, unless it was a popular person or somebody who affected them directly. With Kobe though, with me, it's different being an athlete or being a former athlete. because when you see another athlete, you grow a kinship to pretty much all athletes, you know, and then a professional athlete who made it to the promised land and then dominated the promised land, which is if you are any type of athlete that had any type of desire to go to the next level, it was a dream of yours, you know what I'm saying? So somebody who can do that and do it the way he did, you know, with that mentality, and other than one discrepancy, and I mean all that stuff was alleged with the judicial system. He's really done it in a graceful and manly way, you know, a way a man should do, for the most part. So I really respected that man and idolized him to an extent, and it affected me on that note, just to, you know, for that to happen to one of my fellow athletes, and then being a father of a daughter and putting myself in his position, or trying to understand a little bit or fathom what he went through in the last moments holding his daughter, you know, his firstborn, you know, his baby girl. That really affected me more than the athlete.
Yeah, when I heard about it, you know, I saw the original post that TMZ had made when within the first couple of minutes it went up. And whenever I clicked on it, though, by the time I clicked on it, bro, it was already gone. They had taken the whole website down. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But when I saw it, you know, and it said in the title of the article, it said that Kobe Bryant dies in a helicopter crash. You know, I'm like, okay, well, I started looking into it more, and then I started seeing more things pop up about it. And you know, you look into it, you read it, and you find out his daughter's involved. And I'm just like, I was the same way. I was like, man, my first thing was, you know, wow, that's crazy that, you know, that to hear that he just died. And then it's even worse to hear that, wow, you know, him as a father and his child died together. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, man, I don't even want to think of that type of scenario.
Like that,
you know what I mean?
that would touch anybody who's a parent and that gives a damn. Because, you know, some people don't care, but anybody who actually does care, just trying to put yourself in that. And then you got to also understand, this is a 6'7" giant, you know. Like in most situations in life, and he's a multi-millionaire, very powerful man. So in most situations in life, if his daughter was in any type of danger, he could save her, you know. But in this particular instance, there was nothing he could do. He was helpless, you know. And that's such a surreal feeling to think about, you know.
I don't even like the idea.
I don't like thinking about it too long, because that really does that does touch me.
You know,
emotionally.
and so with me personally, because I wasn't an athlete and all that, so I didn't have this connection to him, you know. And we talked about it before, and I told you, I said for me it was not to say that it wasn't sad and all that he'd passed away, but the response from everyone to me was obviously it was a huge response. I think everyone's social media was Kobe Bryant for the next
That's all my
couple of hours
timeline
at
was.
least. And
Everybody. People I didn't know were even basketball fans.
And I mean, honestly, you know, and that's real. And I get paying respects and all that. But the thing that to me, it's absolutely sensible to mourn his passing. I understand that. I posted online that now to me, I'm looking at this other coronavirus thing, right? Because
We know what you posted.
yeah, hey, we all know everybody knows what I posted. And you know, but I think people took me the wrong way though, because I didn't mean it like, I think people thought I was trying to say it like, oh, forget that, that's not important, this is important. And that's not what I was saying. But what I was trying to get across to people was, if you're going to, I understand everybody posting like this, but when this isn't occurring, this type of an event doesn't occur, where's that kind of attention towards other things as a community? Because as a community, everybody came together. And I say community, as a worldwide community came together to mourn for Kobe. And for the next 2 hours, everybody's attention in the world was on Kobe's passing. At least it seemed like it. And never before that, or how long till after that, will it take for something serious as everyone's life and death, for everybody to say, hey, let's fill news feeds with this type of attention. So I think that people took me as saying, this is more important, but really I was saying, where is that importance at other times as well? You know what I mean?
Addressing that subject, because even though they might have took it that way, it was addressed on your post, and then you explained exactly what you were saying. The thing was, you posted it on social media. People are always going to try to find a reason to take offense to anything you say. Like, especially if you use key terms, like you can't use race, you can't use sexuality. Like you say the word gay. I've made a post and was supporting gay people, and somebody who wasn't even gay got on there and was mad. Just because I used the word gay, or homosexual, and there was nothing derogatory about it. It's social media. There's always gonna be that one person, who doesn't even want to try to understand or listen to anything you say. You can argue with them till you're blue in the face, till your finger, whatever you're typing on, your thumbs hurt or your fingers hurt, depending on the apparatus you're typing on. And they will not take 1 second to actually listen or read what you said.
They just want to take what their immediate sensation is.
Yeah, and they just want to hold on to that, because this gives them, it gives them some feeling of relevance,
And see, and that's real, and I feel like that's very accurate to a lot of people in a lot of situations and a lot of different conversations and circumstances. I feel like a lot of people these days really are emotionally directed and guided.
Driven.
Yeah, there's a lot less like thoughtful process.
Logic.
You know what I mean?
Logic.
I mean, everybody's logic is different though, so you can't necessarily say there's no logic because somebody's logic is applied to every decision they make.
Man,
it just
the
there's
term like
different degrees of logical explanation. I think where it's equally comprehensible.
No, logic is one thing. Logic is one thing. People's perception of logic, that could be different. But as far as logic, if I want to get like the straightest distance between 2 points, the shortest distance between 2 points is what?
Straight line.
Okay. So the logical way to get from this point to that point is?
Straight line. Yeah.
Okay. That's logical, Somebody might say, because there's hills over here and not over here, I might want to go this way because it's less apparatus to go or hurdles to jump.
So you think it's more sensible? I don't know if you mean literally or if you're talking about
no,
figuratively.
I'm talking about logic.
Yeah. So it's more logical to cut through the hills.
If you have the means. Well, I'm saying, actually,
if I was gonna make roads, I ain't gonna lie, man. If I was the person in charge of making all the roads and the highways, like there'd probably be a lot of mountains cut in half and shit.
Well, you got to think about that because I just watched.
Small enough,
I just watched this show. I just watched this show and it was talking about how they did the railroads.
Science.
How they did the railroads, and that was he actually addressed it on there because his people, his engineers, they were building the railroads straight as possible, and he was like, "Why are my railroads straight?" And they were like, because we want to get there faster because it was two companies building railroads to meet in the middle, and so however much mileage you had, that's who got paid more. And he was like,
so they were taking all the routes to get more money.
So he was like, bro, don't build my shit. I get paid by the mile. I want to go around mountains. I want to go, you know what I'm saying?
I want this to be was it Trans-Pacific Union? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was them and what was the other? There's two companies. I can't remember the name of it because they didn't really touch on the other company too much. They weren't talking about the ones coming from California. They were talking about the ones coming from the eastern part of the United States.
All right.
And but he actually addressed it. That's why.
Stray off to that from the COVID thing.
Because
Deli, you just letting us.
Virus, bro.
We did. Oh, the virus. The virus.
we started talking about your post. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was. So.
Lost the camera and
And then we started talking about logic.
Oh, you lost the camera?
I'm already trying to figure it out.
Which
no.
camera? You lost A?
Yeah, I'll just keep
We're
going.
still on
Okay.
me, so I
We're
guess
still
I
on
should
B.
keep
Right
talking.
now, somehow, so.
Uh-oh.
You got two
It might have
V's?
turned off, perhaps.
Oh, you're seeing me on both sides.
We're in technical difficulty.
Every time you switch, it's to me, baby.
We need some elevator music.
And then that
For technical
SpongeBob shit,
difficulties. You're watching
10 hours later.
coronavirus. Okay, so realistically, the other things I could care a lot less to talk about, but I really want to talk about coronavirus. So number one, people, I guess, maybe I look a little crazy online. I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest, because I just want people to be safe. I want everybody to wash your hands, sanitize to your elbows. Doctors wash their hands to their elbows for a reason, so at least sanitize to your elbows for a reason. Wear masks if you have to, and I'm not saying that there's a lot of stuff going on. We know that there's only 12 cases here, so let's talk about that part because I don't want people thinking that I'm crazy and I'm over here like bio-suited out or some shit. Because I ain't gonna lie, bro. I wear a mask and I wear my gloves whenever I go out, especially if I go into Walmart, and there's perfectly good reason why. I'm standing at the bank line. I told you the other day. I'm standing at the bank line, right over at Walmart. There's like 3 people in front of me, I think it was, and then 2 people at the counter. It's just like right after I dropped the kids off at school and all that. Anyway, so standing in line. I got my mask on. I've got my gloves on, right? Now, I had my gloves on already, but in the car, I didn't have my mask on, and I went ahead and put it on before I went to Walmart. Because if you go in crowded spaces, you should wear your mask. So I put my mask on, and people look at you crazy when they see. They look at you, who's protected, like you're sick when you were wearing protective gear, bro. It's crazy. It's the craziest feeling. They do just like this.
Who's sick? I said nobody.
Not
when
me,
you start
damn
talking
it.
to them, they're all eyes on you, bro, because they know that they don't see your mouth. So it's weird. People's response is weird. You're gonna see it the first time you do it. I promise. You're gonna be like, whoa. Unless everybody else is doing it and you took that long, which by then hopefully we're not all sick. I'm just saying. Let's not get to that point.
When you get out of Walmart fast, go through automotive with your mask on, or I'll start coughing. I mean, you'll get me out.
Oh, so this is the point I was getting at. I'm standing in line, right? And where the line is at, you're looking towards the registers, and then you're looking towards the center, the main aisle. And there's a couple of guys. One guy's walking this way, and one guy's walking this way. And this guy that's walking this direction this way, I'm standing there and I'm watching him, and he just starts hacking his. Never even once brings his hand to his face before or after this cough. Nothing. And just kept walking, and the other guy watched him and was like, and just walked like straight through his cough cloud. They walked right by each other. and I watched this like, and the first thought I had was, I'm glad I wore my mask.
I bet, shit.
Man, that's
disgusting.
Man, it's crazy because you don't really realize until you're paying attention how many people don't cover their face when they cough. Which, I mean, everybody's guilty of it, you know what I mean? But when you're in particular types of situations, if you're at home and you cough or something like that, you know what I mean? Everybody's guilty somewhere. Nobody's going to go through an entire existence without having coughed and not covered their face sometimes. You know what I mean? But if you pay particular attention to it, then you don't typically do it. But you'd be surprised how many people don't do it. And we just assume everybody, like, more or less does. But you'd be surprised when you're looking how many people don't. Me and my kids were at Walmart one day. We wiped our hands with things. Now, it's not like we've been doing this. This is something we're trying to get in the habit of. But I just wanted to pay more attention to see how many people really do this. So we're standing right there where the entryway's at, and we're wiping our hands with those things, and we wipe down the cart handle, right? And like 9 or 10 people walk right past, look at us, and just keep going. And nobody else thought to do the same thing at all. And I just wonder why it is that we don't do that. You know what I mean? Because that's the kind of thing right there that if everybody was really in the habit of paying attention to, then we wouldn't even have to worry as much about something like this. Now, there's only 12 cases of the coronavirus that are in the U.S. that we know of, right? And everybody's on quarantine, but they're bringing more people in as we speak. They got 2 flights that they're supposed to be bringing in. They got people they're supposed to be taking supposedly to military installations to house them that are all coming, and they've got to be tested. They're not saying that they all have anything, but they've all got to be tested. They got to be quarantined. They got to be, Now, here's the crazy part is that the more people we keep bringing in, then the more chances and possibilities it is, which everybody wants to get home. So I'm not against the idea of it because I'm like the same way. I'd be like, man, let me get back home. Check me. I'm good. If I'm good, let me go home. I don't even want no part of that. You know what I'm saying? I need to be away from that so I can be prepared for that because apparently that's how bad it is. So I'm looking at this like if they keep bringing in more people, there's more possibilities of us getting it, right? Mm-hmm. There was already one case where a guy was asymptomatic and they let him go home because he wasn't showing any symptoms. The next day, he started to show symptoms. 3 days later, his wife had it also. So then they had to quarantine both of them and take them to quarantine. So my thing is like, how many more accidents like that will happen when you have hundreds of people that are coming in? You know what I mean? Man, there's that Japanese cruise ship. I think it's a Japanese cruise ship. But it's over there by Japan, I believe. That's got like 500 people, I think, or something like that on there. I can't remember how many people are on it, but there's a whole bunch of U.S. citizens that are on there amongst the other citizens, and they're all on quarantine on the ship. Nobody can leave because there was like 20 cases or something like that on the ship.
Damn.
Yeah. So think about this. Now they're saying that the spread rate is only like 1 to 4 people or something like that for every person that encounters it. Okay, well, if you're stuck on a ship and they are on quarantine and there's people that have to still help them and do stuff, there's a possibility that this thing can get somewhere, right? And now we're not saying it is. We're not saying, I don't want anybody tripping and panicking. There's only 12 cases here.
That's how the doctor
But
died.
right, the dude died
Help him.
trying to help. Yeah, but even with that one though, I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm not going to go into that one. I'm not going to go into that one. That's touching some sensitive stuff. Anyway, my thing is I just want people to really pay more attention to what we're really doing. Hand sanitizer. I got hand sanitizer and stuff all over the place. So, I'm like, yeah, I just want people to be careful. What are your thoughts on this? I'm over here yapping, bro. 'Cause I'll go on and on and on.
We know. Go for it. Nah.
Oh, what time is it? It's 8:30. You know what? Let's go ahead and take that break.
You just cut him off, just like that.
Huh?
All right, you just cut him off. Okay.
He didn't cut me off. I didn't start.
Oh, did I?
No.
When we
It's
get
okay.
right back, what we'll do is
We're gonna move on to the
I'll go back
present.
now. And then, I guess we're just gonna cancel the break. We're just gonna keep going.
No, it's cool. It's all right.
No, I'm just playing. Okay, whenever we get right back, Chris will go ahead and give us his input on this coronavirus, and then we'll talk a little bit more because I got some more information that I've learned about it. But you probably know what it is.
We're
If
gonna
you follow
burn
me
up
on
the rest of the hour.
Here's the thing, though, is if you are listening and you're watching right now, then comment down there in the talk stuff space, so that way we can all talk back with you, and we'll chat a little bit. Don't go nowhere. It's a very short break, so we'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. No, I'm just playing. Welcome back. Told you it was a short break, and the truth is this time of year we don't have much to do, so we're just gonna kick it. But thanks for joining us. Anyway, Chris, what were we talking about with coronavirus? What's your thoughts after all the yapping? You know what I realized here, man? I'm very
It's not weird. It's not weird. Anyway. Dudley wants to talk some shit. He wants to talk some shit right now. He wants to talk some good shit.
Okay, no, go ahead. Coronavirus.
Go. All right, here we go. The coronavirus. It is something that we definitely need to be mindful of and be serious about. It's one thing to hear about something being overseas and not even on our continent, but it's in our country, I just recently looked it up today, and there's still, I think it was last week when they said there was 2 people that could possibly have it. In Oklahoma City, there hasn't been an update on that yet.
Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. They both came back negative.
Oh, okay, they came back negative. Mm-hmm. But the fact that there was that scare and they thought somebody could have it should show you how close it is, because Oklahoma City is right up the street. So people commute back and forth from Oklahoma City, thousands each day.
And they didn't, and I think that they didn't.
Oh, Dudley, he said he's one of them.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Dudley's back and forth from the city all the time.
So,
and and I think that this is where a lot of people, I think, kind of get the wrong idea. I think that they feel like that it's, never mind. Go ahead, keep going. Because I'll keep going. Yep. Yep.
all I was saying is one thing to hear about it and see it on TV, and hear that it's overseas. But when it's that close, especially if you have children, how easy it is for children because their immune systems aren't built all the way up, and how they're in close quarters with hundreds of other kids on the daily, you know, like that something like that can spread
Daily.
so rapidly and so quickly and so swiftly. It's not.
And it doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. I think people get the wrong idea and they think that it pops up out of nowhere kind of thing. Like, you know, nobody can really tell you where they got the flu from. You know, they just know, oh man, I was around so and so the other day. I might have got it from them because I think they were sick. You know, and they might have an idea, but they don't really know. They could have touched something and, you know, or whatever. You know, but this is something that has to go from carrier to carrier. You know what I mean? This isn't something that's already out and about. Everyone wants to compare it to the flu, and a lot of people keep saying, well, the flu has, you know, is way worse. It's killed 10,000 people since this flu season. You know what I mean? And it has, you know, and that's a high number. But even still, when you look at this number, it's not like you can compare it to this new thing that just started, you know, what, 40 days ago, if that? This is 40 days of looking at these numbers increasing at the magnitude that they are, because, you know, you're talking about overnight, these are increasing 3,800 at a time. Every 2-3 days, it seems like it's increasing 3,000 at a time. You know what I mean? And it's like, whoa, that's a lot of people to be increasing at that rate. So 28,000 people are infected right now.
They're not successfully battling it right now.
Right. And there's a lot more crazy stuff
And it's
about it too.
mutated already once, hasn't it?
From what I understand, it's mutated twice.
Twice now. See, that's
Now, and the thing is this didn't start in like December, you know, 1st. This started December 31st is the when they reported the first coronavirus case. So now I don't know when it was before that it was actually occurred, but that's when they said they reported the first one. And I think that the next 3 or something like that happened within the same day or same week or something like that. The first 4 were like pretty close together, and then from there it just kept going up. You know, the whole thing to me is crazy, the fact that the numbers, when you look at the 31-day time frame of January, they went from where in the beginning they were reporting, I remember like one of the first reports was that there was something like 92 deaths at that point, and I think that they were saying 1,200 infected. No, it started like 300 something, 400 something, then it went to like 1,200 something within like, it seemed like a week and a half. And then after that, it jumped up from 1,200 something to like 2,200 almost. Or no, 1,900, then to 2,000, and from 2,000 to 2,200, then from 2,200 on up to like 4,000, then from 4,000 to like 12,000, or not 12,000, 8,000 almost. 7,000 is what it was, and then 8, 9. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with it? It's steadily increasing. And this is over 31 days to the point where there's like 28,000 known infections right now in the world. Okay, most of them, almost all of them in China, you know, and the fact that it's increasing at that rate and there's nothing that they have that can stop it. Here's the crazy part, is that there's research that people are finding that's showing that, and I'll try to see if I can find these links so I can drop them in the video deal at the bottom at the end so people can see it. But there's some research that people are presenting that's saying that this is basically the flu wrapped with a bunch of other things. So they're saying they found genomes of HIV embedded in this. So it's basically HIV with flu and possibly even parts of Ebola. So
sounds like a weapon.
it does sound like a weapon. And you know,
like
the
a
crazier
fucking
part,
weapon,
there's
bro.
a senator.
What? Are you kidding me?
There's a super lab that's nearby Ground Zero, okay? And it's one of China's only super labs. And here's another crazy part about that too, is that they recently arrested a guy who's a doctor at Harvard University who deals with epidemiology. I think he's I can't remember what he is, but he deals with like.
Black me out when you talk about this.
Did you just black me out?
I'm doing you a favor when you talk about this part. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like, dang. Okay, well, but I mean, it's public record, bro. It's in the news that he got arrested, but it's just not a lot in the news he got arrested. So the guy got arrested. He's got direct ties to this place and to this super lab. Some to the point, I think that he even helped participating in setting it up.
Is he American?
He's an American guy. And he has 2 students that were also arrested. One of them, turns out, they're both fake students. One's a lieutenant in the Chinese military. And the other one was arrested at an airport with multiple vials on him. And he was trying to leave to China. So, and apparently they've had this connection he's had this connection with this place for some years because they've been paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Oh, yep, let me hit that right there. There it is.
Yeah.
Look at that big old smile he's got. Anyway, so yeah, they arrested this guy and they arrested the other two. But think about this. They have been smuggling vials of whatever agents they've got that they've been making or designing or developing to China. And now here we are with this whole superbug that's doing what it's doing. And the thing is that people are like, well, you need to be more worried about the flu. I get the numbers, man, but the numbers they're not going to just stay this way. And the thing is that if we prepare for it, I think people are better off to prepare for it and, and really remember that our power are in our community in numbers together. You know what I mean? But if we all wear our gloves and wear our masks, or not to say we need to just yet. If your town is nowhere near it and all that, you don't feel like you need to, I get it. But I don't know. I think it's not a dumb idea to start teaching our kids that they should consider it. You know what I mean? That's my thoughts. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do. I think that was one of my points 30 minutes ago.
Oh, he trying to tell me. Like you brought some old shit up. Why you bringing up old shit?
No, I did. I said, children, that's the biggest thing right there. Even if you don't care about catching it yourself, if you have children, some people just don't care about their health. They don't care if they live or die or whatever. But be mindful of somebody else,
But if they don't care about themselves, though, then ultimately, how much are they really going to be mindful of somebody else? And,
to the point where
some people...
what I'm saying now. Just because you don't care about yourself, don't be so selfish to try to put to let bad fortune happen to someone else that you could prevent. Don't be fucked up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially if you have children, that's the main thing. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And dogs can get it too, but they just have.
Yes, they can.
They just have a little.
Actually, I think mammals in general can get this.
But they say in dogs, it's just a little stomach discomfort, and it doesn't affect like that. Not that
You
bad.
sure about that? But they're carriers.
Yeah, they can carry it. But
so they bite you.
It doesn't.
If they lick you.
It doesn't fuck them. It doesn't mess them up like humans.
No, they're just walking around where they can mess us up.
It says it messes.
Want some love and
It says it messes their stomach up just a little bit. They go through discomfort for I can't remember how many days it said, but it doesn't. They don't go through symptoms like we do.
And I think that the numbers right now. I mean, the numbers matter. So I'm not going to pretend like the numbers don't matter when it comes to the whole coronavirus infections, the spread, all of that. That absolutely matters, and I think that that's the thing that we need to be keeping track of the most, because we see it growing in other places of the world. 20 countries at least are infected by this. Did you notice how many countries this is in?
20.
20, at least 20 different countries outside of China. So that's 21 countries at least around the world that are infected by this. And the first death, I think, was outside of China was reported yesterday, or was it this morning? I think I can't remember, but I believe it was in the Philippines. Now that is now a death from this outside of where they're needing to quarantine the most. Could you imagine that entire country? They got that place on lockdown, man. I saw videos. Have you seen any videos of this stuff going on? Okay, so apparently,
we're in China or in the Philippines?
In China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in China. I saw this video, and I'm sure other people seen it as well. I don't know if it was shared a lot or not, but I know it came across my newsfeed. I saw this video where they're talking about what they're doing over there, and so they're randomly stopping people who are walking, and they're checking their temperature, right? And if you don't let them check your temperature, then you can go to jail. And they're only letting like one person out per household, and if you don't have a mask, then you can go to jail. And if you don't have a mask, I'm not sure what happens if you say, okay, I'll put one on, or if they go quarantine you or something. You know what I mean? I think they start checking your symptoms and all that. But I saw another video where if somebody reports that you have symptoms of it, they'll come to your house and take you out, and whether you like it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, they're just taking you out, and they're going to go do whatever they're doing with you, testing you or whatever it is. But you don't have a choice, and they're going to use force against you. I'm like, man, that's crazy. Because imagine that everywhere. That'll be nuts. But I don't think
something we can prevent.
exactly. And all we got to do is just gloves and masks and be more aware of what we're doing, and we can really protect ourselves from a number of different outcomes that could happen. Even if it was in kind of, crazy off the wall movie-like scenario, we could really do something to protect ourselves better as long as we're just truly aware. Make sure your kids are taking care of themselves. Enough about coronavirus. State of the Union address.
State of the Union address.
Yeah, you just listened to it, right? Didn't you just watch it? What are your thoughts on it? Tell me what stuck out to you the most.
Well, running back to what something you said in the beginning, because you said you saw an article about fact checking or something like that. That's what, because especially the first 30 minutes, what Trump did, he really was saying a whole bunch of numbers. He said a whole bunch of record-breaking things are happening as far as poverty being down, jobs or unemployment being down, job rates being up. He said it's record-setting all that, women and minorities having jobs. He said everything is record-setting. He kept making, I said this earlier, he kept making references to the previous two administrations before him, saying they couldn't do it. He said everything that he's doing, people said couldn't be done. And if that's the truth, then I will apply that. But I'm not going to apply anything until I go check the facts. So yeah, if you should put that article down there too.
Yeah, I'll drop that link in there. I'll find it and I'll drop it also. It was the Associated Press fact check sheet for it. Now, and I didn't even get to read the entire thing because I was in the middle of doing something also, but I did try to skim through at least the first, set of things or whatever, however you look at it, that they listed. And what was crazy to me though is in general, what I read from the first few items that they had is that it sounded like there were some things that he bent the truth on that they said, and it sounded like some other things actually kind of turned out better. I can't remember what thing it was in particular. So I'll drop that link and all that. But you just got through listening to it a minute ago. What were some of the key points that you thought that he said or something that stood out?
Well, that's really what it was. That's what, in between everything, because he had little filler things sprinkled throughout there, but he was really just he was punching on those, the record-setting numbers as far as, he also said, he said, all other countries look up to our country for these facts, and we are the highest respected country again. Which I don't know if you could just check facts on that, but I don't necessarily believe that. And all the other little filler stuff, like he had people come in, and I remember he had a little girl. She was born like super premature. I think after like 3 months or something like that. She was like a pound, less than a pound, and she was full grown well, not full grown, but she's a healthy child now. And he was actually wanted to take credit for that because I'm serious, because health administration is at an all-time high right now. So he's indirectly the reason why this baby
because it's Trump
fought all the odds. He had a little boy come in there who wanted to be an astronaut. His great granddaddy was like 100 years old, and he was still in the Air Force. Well, he was retired.
Didn't he give him a medal or something like that?
Yeah, the older gentleman. Yeah, he did. He got an award for.
That's cool.
I can't remember
I thought that was cool that guy got that because I try to think about what I felt like was taking place here. With all these accolades he was handing out now and all this stuff, and giving us the State of the Union, and I knew, his chess play, but thinking about it in the position of that older guy, if he didn't know he was getting awarded that, for him, he now got this award from the President of the United States. That's an achievement.
That's a lifetime achievement.
That's like, wait a minute,
he's probably gonna die soon. Like he could die happy.
And now he can say, look what I did.
What more do I have to do in life? Like, I mean, he was well decorated, like, bro. His
oh yeah.
Shit was full. So I mean, you could tell he did some things in the Air Force, but I'm pretty sure I'll have to check up on him. But I doubt he's had that honor.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. And he's 100 years old too. Like, he was 100.
Man, what's that cat's name, man? I don't even remember his name. I'm blank to it because I don't like to watch him too much. Kind of know. let's skip past him. I'm not even going to talk about it. Pelosi tearing up the speech at the end. What do you think about it? Because, I mean, she did this on camera, live. Everybody could see it. Everybody's like, and a whole bunch of people like, she needs to go to jail. And, there's a guy, one of the senators, I can't remember his name, Senator, what's his name? I don't know. I'm probably a douche, I should probably know that. But anyway, he's really trying to press charges, I think, against her for that. Because there's a law, apparently, that you can't tear up something that's official documentation.
I heard it was a copy instead of
I mean,
I heard it was her copy.
they just feel like she disrespected the president.
And they're trying to put her in jail because they're trying to be like, no.
Oh,
how
fucking
dare
well.
you.
This whole presidential term has been a comedy show. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's been television. It hasn't really been anything political about it. It's been childish, it's been mundane, all of that. So she just fell right in line with what he's been doing this whole time. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if he hasn't, there's gonna be a time where he tore up something on camera too. So it's just that's crazy because all she did was tear up a piece of paper. Like.
Well, I mean, it was a copy of his speech.
Yeah,
but,
a copy of his speech that he was reading from.
But did he hand it to her?
I don't know.
Because if he handed it to her, it may have been his copy of it, which would have made it an official documentation.
And so what? He spit the speech already. It's over with. It's a piece of paper. I'm pretty sure there's a digital copy. I doubt he was even reading from a paper. I'm pretty sure he was reading from a freaking what's it called? That teleprompter. Yeah. So I mean, like that right there it's pretty minor and childish to me. That
I thought that too when I started seeing it. I was like, wow, they're going to try to put her in jail. But then when somebody actually quoted a law, and then I really started thinking about what the principle of it would be about and why there would actually be a law for this, and it made some sense to me because. If you think about it, these are traditions that our country was founded on. It's a very specific process down to the T. Mm-hmm. And so even literally the transfer of this piece of paper from me to you, if it's an official documentation, means that this is official to the country. So,
I'm pretty sure
if it's destroyed deliberately, it's one by accident. But if it's deliberately destroyed, now it seems like you're trying to destroy official government documentation for some reason.
I feel that. But I'm pretty sure that law was passed way before the digital age and way before anything was like backed up,
Well, think about the Declaration of Independence.
They made that to protect documents in case there was only one document made and there was no copy of it or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I understand why it was made back then. But even still, we're talking about a piece of paper. It's not serious.
But think about this though. I think the importance of it comes down to it being an original and the original of a thing for a country. You know what I mean? Because you can make copies of the Declaration of Independence, but if you destroy the original one, then technically there's not a government because you got nothing but a bunch of copies that can be erased.
Oh, I can understand
manipulated
the authenticity and something real, but I mean, I'm pretty sure his speech wasn't handwritten either. So if it was typed up, then when the law was made.
But what if he typed it though?
Do you really think he did?
Listen to the things he was saying. He wrote it about him boasting about everything.
And still, do you really think he wrote that? Fuck no. Hell no, I doubt it.
I almost wonder if he just had like a little outline and he just hits the outline and then it just goes on. You know what I mean?
Just freestyles it.
I feel like he probably does.
There's times they let him freestyle and he bombed them times. So I'm pretty sure the State of the Union address, that was I can't even say it well thought out because it was elementary really. Like it was, like I said, if the facts are right, if the facts are true, then okay. But all that was. It was a lot of boasting going on, but like I said, if the facts are right, then it's a reason to, But even all of those, I don't feel his administration is directly responsible for any of that stuff. All that stuff was put into the ball started rolling before he became the president. He just so happened to be in office when it was fruitful.
I think that they're saying that a lot of this stuff supposedly they're trying to take credit for because
he's trying to take credit for all of that shit.
Stuff. Yeah, but I think he did a lot of different things. But honestly, I don't know. I've never actually looked into a whole lot of the stuff because I really have avoided looking into a lot of what they say he's done, and not because, well, no, I don't want to say I've avoided it. I just really haven't considered it because there's so much other nonsense that it makes me feel like, while I want to learn what he thinks he's doing to really determine if I want to know what he's doing or not, you know what I mean? If he's a good president or not. I feel like there's so much other stuff that it makes me feel like, well, if you got this much stuff going on about you that's all they're saying you did this, they're saying you did that, and then, this whole phone call thing with the Biden investigation. I don't really think you could be a good president because you're involved in this.
Your bad is outweigh you. Even if you're doing all of
yeah,
that,
you're trying to win the hearts of people right now.
You almost that word 2 times in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're as much as you care about the country, you obviously don't care about the country. Like anybody who knows about war, if you've had anybody who's been in war, even watching the movies, they make it look glamorous and things like that. But war is not pretty. It's not cute. There's nothing good about it. It's a whole bunch of people dying for people who will never be in the war. Like it's that shit is stupid too. But so he's almost put our country in that position 2 times. And with total disregard through things like social media and shit. Like just like on a real elementary and childish level. So you can't care too much about our country. You could care about the economics. You care about the rich getting richer, and even the facade of the poor getting richer also. But if you can put us in situations like that, you're not a good president in my eyes. You don't care. You're not thinking about what you're saying. You're saying you're doing shit for media in my eyes.
I mean, I don't know though. Hit him with some real shit, real missiles and shit.
Okay.
Because I mean,
But even that, I'm saying like you're going to war or putting us in positions to go to war.
And everybody's
even
not necessarily in agreement with it.
Yeah, even attacking. Yeah, what are the reasons why we're going to war? Is somebody?
He really just took a liberty.
Are people threatening us? Are freedoms threatened?
Well, they're going to say that they've been threatened for however long they've been threatened now. I know we can go on and on about that. We got about 4 minutes left, something like that. Real quick, I want to touch on something. I recently, now these are, I guess they're older videos or whatever that I found, but I found a couple of videos. One was an interview of a guy talking about, he was a soldier and there was other soldiers he was a part of the unit of, and they apparently were at some point in Afghanistan somewhere, and I guess they were looking for someone or something, I don't know, clearing caves, and they came across some spot where there's like this cliff drop, and there's this cave there, and they said, I'm trying to fight through this real quick because it's kind of a lengthy story, but the guy says ultimately what happens is they're looking at this cave, this deal, and they're getting ready to look at this cave, and out of this cave comes this 12 to 15 foot tall human looking thing, but it's got like long red hair and beard and double rows of teeth and is extremely pale skin, and he killed a couple of them before they were able to kill him. They ultimately had to have a helicopter come in too to help with that. They killed the thing and they took it with them. Now, there's stories apparently in Afghanistan that some people tell. I don't know, I ain't never been there, so I can tell you I've heard these. This is just stuff that I've come across. And then the more I look into it, the more you kind of find stuff. You got to dig though, and it probably makes me sound super crazy. Man, wrong show. No, just like. But the more you dig, the more you find. But apparently, there's rumors in Afghanistan apparently about these man-eating giants that live in the caves, and so it might be a real thing. But you're gonna look that one up on your own. I ain't sending no links to that shit. You're gonna have to find that shit on your own. That probably makes me look even crazier. I don't really care because I'm not sharing that shit too much. Fuck around and into what FBI in this bitch or something. I'm just playing. I'm just another consumer like everyone else. All right. No, we're going to wrap it up. It's 8:58. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you watch next week because we will be back on. In fact, I have a guest, Miss Brianne Loving. Yep, she's a good friend of mine, and she's got an awesome voice, and she does a lot of voice work and stuff like that. We're going to talk more about that whenever she's here. Chris, I want to say thank you for joining me as always, brother.
Indubitably.
Yep. And Mr. Dudley in the back, thank you, sir, for knocking the show out with us. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, wash your hands, and don't forget to sanitize all the way up to your elbows. Wear your gloves, wear your mask.
Cover your mouth when you cough.
The end is coming. Where's my sign? It's coming. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.